Hey guys, welcome back. This video is just a little bit different. It's going to be a contest entry for Noble Records 7,000 subscriber contest. Uh, just 7 fairly quick questions. And first, just want to congratulate Dylan over at Noble Records. I think he said it's been around for like 2 years now. 7,000 subs, that's incredible, and then opening up his storefront. Hope to get down there one day. Come see you. Spend some hard-earned cash. So I guess let's jump into it. So it's not too terribly long. You're gonna have a hell of a lot of videos to judge. So best finds. I picked out two best finds. One modern and one a little bit older. So the more modern one, I had it in a recent video. So I live in a border town with Canada, and there's 2 record shops over there. One's currently in the process of moving. One's been there for a long time. The one that's been there for a while tends to run a little bit expensive. But for most of the month of December, they were running. They were just trying to blow a bunch of inventory. Now a lot of it's just junk records or normally, basic dollar bin stuff. But he had some pretty interesting things, and happened. I don't know how this got past everybody else or whatnot, but it's an original, I believe it's Canadian pressing of Marquee Moon by Television. The spine is pretty beat up. I mean, it's not doing itself a lot of favors, but the record itself is absolutely perfect, or dang near it. So it was $5. Not gonna complain about that. Now I know that's probably not too exciting for somebody like you, Dylan, but for me it was pretty neat. And then the one I really wanted to show off here, I got this back at a Goodwill 10-15 years ago now. It was before the big vinyl resurgence. I took the sticker off of it years ago. But it was probably like $1 or $2, maybe. I always like flipping through their vinyl bins, because I grew up. I had one of those all-in-one turntables. It had, a record player with a 45 adapter, adjustable speed, along with the normal 33, 45 buttons. Had a cassette deck, an 8-track deck, and then like an AM/FM radio. And I saw this one, and I looked on the spine and went, "Huh, I know that band." And it's Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here." Of course, the cover shows some wear and whatnot, as it would. But the wax is pretty good. I mean, it's a little noisy, but for considering how much I paid for it and when, it just basically sat in our basement for a long time, barely ever getting played. I mean, it's not super noisy. It's pretty dang clean. But just some of the transitions and Shine On leave it a little bit wanting. But the impressive thing is, it's actually a German pressing. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on there. But how the heck a Goodwill in small town Michigan in the Upper Peninsula ever got a German copy of Wish You Were Here is beyond me. Now, since then, I've picked up a number of other German records locally over the last couple of years. We think that somebody might have been stationed over there and got home and decided to sell his collection. I picked up a number of Uriah Heep albums, and then just recently picked up a copy of Pink Floyd's Metal. That's German, a German pressing of that. but that's local, and that was a big lot. Out of all the records that I remember kind of getting around the time that I got this was the only one. Um, Number two, best song ever written. So one song came instantly to mind for uh, like an objectively best song. I don't know if I would necessarily say it's like perfect or anything like that. But you said, name two, three, whatever. So I think on paper, I think a lot of people would agree that Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah is probably one of the better songs written. I'm not a huge fan of Cohen, but when you look at all the different versions and stanzas and stuff that can go into the song, and it doesn't necessarily take anything away. You might prefer, the Buckley version, a little bit more, but when you throw in Cohen's original, Take the Lord a Song, it's just as good once you get used to it, right? But personally, I do really like, one of my favorite songs of all time is Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, off of course, same album. But just there's just something about the lyrics, and I don't know, there's just something about it that I love. And then just as kind of a throwing another into the mix would be, I'll say most of the songs that Canadian folk singer Stan Rogers put out, whether that's Bears Privateers, or Mary Ellen Carter, which I think is fantastic, and it's up there for me too. Northwest Passage. If you like those sea shanty-ish kind of sounding songs, I implore you to check him out. Number three is, how do you keep track of your collection? So originally I just had a spreadsheet, very basic information on it when I just had all my CDs. But I started getting lazy and not updating that. So now I started putting everything to Discogs, and that's where I'll say about 95% of my collection is in. There's some recent purchases that I haven't gotten around to putting in on the CD front, and then there's some that didn't have when I was first going through my CD collection, because what I was doing was putting them into Discogs, ripping them onto my computer so I could have them digitally, and then storing them away because I just don't have the room to display them. I have a ton, and but there, of course, I ran into some that were from smaller music scenes, or for things that I picked up off of something like Bandcamp, or like local artists and stuff that just didn't have an entry in there. So I put those aside. I have those in a box right kind of behind me. That'll be a project for a weekend or 10. And but yeah, Discogs. It's not perfect, especially when it comes to the vinyl. Because for some things, when you look at the different pressings, whether it's from Terre Haute or Pittman, or the prices are the same across the board. There might, some people might say one's better than the other, and when there's a big change in a price point when I check them out, then I'll do my best to put in the correct pressing of it, but like when I was first putting them in, I didn't realize there was that big of a difference on some. So sometimes I go back and recheck them. Otherwise, it's mostly for me anyway, just to know what the hell I have, or so I don't buy too many of the same record. I did that with CDs far too much. The one record you never sell. So I think with like a lot of people, you kind of get attached to your stuff. I mean, look at all the boxes behind me, right? You get attached to stuff, and I don't think there's any one record that I have lot of emotional attachment to that if push came to shove, I couldn't get rid of. Yeah, that Wish You Were Here would be tough just because of, how I found it when I found it. Um, but I think if something happened where, we needed the money, um, and I just need to get rid of everything, and I can only keep one, it would probably be, and it's not like it's expensive, it's not like it's rare, um, but I think it was probably the first record my girlfriend bought for me, or at least one of the first ones I unwrapped. She got me all the albums I wrote at the time. There's like 3 of them, but this is probably my favorite of theirs. It's just Florence and the Machine, Lungs. It's fantastic, and just sitting down, Christmas Day, opening gifts, and getting the Florence at the time discography. I think there's 1 or 2 that's been out since. Um, so I think that'd be, well, I guess that kind of comes up for number 6 too. I guess I didn't, because for some reason my brain skipped that one, um, but yeah, I think that's the one. I was kind of going through Discogs before, and I couldn't think of anything else. That's like, nope, I need this. I'm keeping this. Um, let's see here. Number 5, favorite music or record related documentary. Um, so I'm gonna cheat. I have 4. 2 of them kind of go hand in hand. And in no particular order are these like from best to worst or not, just from what I thought of. So I love a genre of hip hop called nerdcore. If you're not familiar, nerdcore is basically just nerdy hip hop. They'll reference anything from video games to TV shows, movies, different tech things. I mean, it's pretty much wide open. And some people get, separate nerd rock from nerd core, which is fair, but I lump all that stuff basically into one. So there's 2 documentaries out that I know of that were fairly well produced. You have Nerdcore Rising and Nerdcore Now. Nerdcore Rising focuses on MC Frontalot. That he's kind of known in the scene as the godfather of hip hop. He might not have been the first one to do it, but he's the first one to give it a name with a song by the same title. And it focuses on, I believe it's his first major tour that he did in the U.S. Because he is based out of Brooklyn. So it's just tour footage and a lot of behind the scenes stuff in motels and on the road and at the concert, venues and all that. And they have Nerdcore Now, which was produced a little bit later, I think. I mean, they were produced, within a few years of each other. But Nerdcore Now focuses on what I would consider to be like the second wave of nerdcore. It's because there used to be these torrent files out there called rhyme torrents. And there's one particular guy that was behind it named High C. High C was not a great dude, when you look back at it. So Nerdcore Now focuses kind of on High C and some of the artists that were kind of brought into the scene from High C, such rhyme torrents, and kind of everything else that was kind of happening at the time when nerdcore would just start to kind of blow up. But for the wider audience, I recently watched, it was on Netflix, called Woodstock: 3 Days That Defined a Generation. It's it's almost all archival footage. There's some scenes of uh, the Woodstock grounds as they are now, but when they do interviews with people, if it's a or if it's a modern interview, it's over archival footage. It doesn't pan to anybody, and so you're not really taken out of the story and kind of the shit fest that that Woodstock became. Um, and excuse me. And it has a ton of footage from some of the actual shows. Not so much from the first night. It shows a little bit of Joan Baez. But when he gets into day two, um, it just goes. It's fantastic. Um, excuse me again. Um, and again, I don't know if this is currently on Netflix. I watched it on there, but it's been a while. But you have Joe Cocker, Mad Dog with a Soul. Um, Joe Cocker is a artist that I absolutely adore. Um, his voice, I think, is unique. He has a passion for music that I find just awesome. Um, and this goes right from you know being born in England and coming up in bands. Uh, I believe he's from Manchester. Um, covers them through those early years. And the first American tour, gets back home, and like a couple days after getting home, he gets a call. He says, "Hey, do you want to come back over here play at Woodstock?" So sure enough, they packed up the band, shipped back off across the pond, and gave the performance of a lifetime there. Um, into his Mad Dog years, and going down into his addiction and all that, and coming out of it anew, and goes right up until his death, I believe. And so if you're tangentially a Cocker fan, I think you need to take the hour and a half and see it. It's fantastic. Favorite record you received as a gift? Again, probably the three Florence and the Machine albums, or even this year. I don't have it with me, but the girlfriend got me Joe Cocker's "Fired Up." I believe it was a music on vinyl release of one of his final concerts. Um, yeah, I don't get like records as gifts too much. Most of the time, people they just rather give me money or gift cards, and I'll just get whatever the heck I want. Cause you don't know, one day from the next what might sound good to you or not, right? What is your listening ritual? I don't really have a listening ritual, to tell you the truth, other than just making sure I have something to drink, right? Um, at my last apartment when I first got my turntable, um, I would typically, grab something to drink, whether that's, water, milk, maybe a beer, whiskey, or bourbon, whatever it is at night, and just grab something to read, you know, put on a record, kind of eyeball how much, how long you got to see you really need a speed read or not, and go through a couple records that way after work, or sometime in in the afternoon or evening on weekends, and go about the day, or put it on when you're cleaning or cooking. That tends to be what I do now. Because about 6-7 months ago now, the girlfriend and I moved into this apartment, and I haven't really developed a new ritual. So sometimes when I know I'm going to be up on my feet, cooking, in the kitchen, which we have, we just live in a trailer for now, so the turntable and everything's kind of right across from the island in the kitchen where the sink and everything is. So throw that on and just do what needs to be done. Um, that's my current listening ritual. But hopefully, um, once And now that the holidays and stuff are done, we're going to try piecing it back together again and coming up with something else, and hopefully be able to come up with a little bit of a better ritual, and hopefully listen to more music. I haven't spun a whole lot of records. I've been buying a ton, but I haven't been spending as much as I'd like. Um, but that's neither here nor there. This is a contest video, right? So again, Dylan, congratulations. Uh, it's been fantastic watching over the last year or so. I can't remember when I was actually subscribed to you. Popped up a lot in the feed, and found that I typically enjoyed what was being put out, and so figured out why the hell not become one of this guy's subscribers, right? Seems knowledgeable, passionate about what he does, and so yeah, nothing but the best of luck to you. Here's to another 7,000 or more. Hopefully it doesn't get too much for you to handle. You get too big of a hit on us, and yeah, have a good one.